When you start a business, there is a lot of uncertainty about what you are doing, whether it is right or not. These are the 7 pieces of advice I would have given myself 10 years ago when I was just starting my business. First of all, you can't learn if you're talking. When I first started my business, I didn't have much to show for the last 10 years I had in the job market, so I began to fill the gap in my results with words and stories. The problem is that the more I talked, the less time I left for others to speak, and therefore, the less I could learn from my surroundings. I was sharing the room with people who had the same business results that I wanted and who were willing to teach me how I could achieve it too, and I was wasting time trying to impress them instead of being quiet to learn. Over time, I discovered that it was easier to impress people by being silent, learning, and executing what I had learned than by talking. Let your results and other people speak about how great you are, not yourself, but in a much more valuable way. You may find that this concept also applies to the people whom I supposedly intend to educate, that is, my clients. I used to give extremely long and extraordinary presentations about how valuable my service was to the person, in which I spoke 90% of the time, and the people spoke 10%. Changing my approach not only improved my closed sales results, but it also turned my work plan from a responsibility into a pleasure. I adopted the mindset that every single client I visited had something to teach me, which is also true, and that if I inquired enough, I could leave each meeting not only a little richer, but also a little wiser. By being such a good listener, clients felt more confident in expressing their pain points, and adjusting my presentation to address that pain became much simpler. Let people talk so you can learn what they know and also get to know more about them. 2. Earn your self respect. This point is tied to the previous one, in the sense that I was initially constantly seeking the respect of my superiors, acting in one way or another to win their favor, as if I were being paid for it, and it was impossible to gain the respect of someone like that, not even my own. Instead of wearing masks to please others, change your focus and ask yourself who the person you want to become is. Once you identify that, embody the person you want to be. Don't bind yourself to limiting beliefs that define who you are supposed to be, and even worse, justifying it with childhood traumas like, I struggle to value myself because my parents didn't do it when I was a child. These are nothing more than the ego justifying why you don't live as you want, despite having all the potential you possess. The only thing that separates you from who you are and who you want to be is a decision without guilt or explanations. It is better to read one book 100 times than to read 100 books once. Bruce Lee wisely said, I fear more the person who practices one kick 1,000 times than the person who practices 1,000 kicks once. When I started my business, there were about 5 books that I was recommended to read, which I did very soon because I was eager to learn. After finishing reading them, I immediately went to look for the next batch of books to continue expanding my mind based on all these new concepts. And as the years go by, I find myself returning more often to the first 5 books that were recommended to me. Every day, the words written in them gain more value and meaning. If a book teaches you something and I read it once, I still haven't learned it. When you find a valuable book, don't just read it, study it. 4. Champions don't have something that you don't have. So, why do they live the way they do? And I live the way I do. It's because they lack something that you have. The truth is that it doesn't take much to get ahead with a business. A value proposition accompanied by an intense and consistent workload is all that is needed. What sets champions apart from others is that they are better at eliminating distractions. They have a singular focus and the ability to say no to everything else. All distractions are the same. They may have different names and surnames, but the common denominator is the same. It is the opportunity cost of acting based on distraction, or having a laser focus on our goals. Stephen Covey says that in life, the most important thing is that the most important thing remains the most important thing. Start by defining your most important goals and dreams, and at each step of the way, weigh whether the action you are about to take brings you closer to that goal or takes you further away or diverts you from it. Goodwill has a better compounded effect than money. The day I stopped worrying about how much I could earn from the client and started thinking about how much I could serve them, everything changed. The philosophy of seeking to provide them with more than what they have paid for, helping wherever I can, even if it is not my service or my job. Sometimes the product I sell may not solve the problem my client is facing, and I can refer them to someone who does have the tools to help. My main goal in life is to become a nexus, a connector, or a means through which anyone can find a solution to their problems. I started showing my clients how they could solve their problems without my service, and as a result, they began to buy it more. Just be a good person. Seriously. 6. Extraordinary achievements come from doing ordinary things for an extraordinary amount of time. What makes action extraordinary is the commitment to it, not the nature of the action itself. Do not seek tricks or fads, seek mastery. Become an expert in your craft as soon as possible so that you can work on your most important business asset, which is yourself. 7. If it is worth doing, it is worth doing well. At some point in your life, you realize that we don't have enough time to learn and do everything. It is what Jim Rohn calls philosophy, what you know and what you decide to do with what you know, being clear that life is not long enough to do everything. Define what to invest our most important resource, which is time, and be decisive about it. Trying to do too many things at the same time makes you want to do them faster, and as a result, not as well as they should be done. This is a concept that I personally struggle with a lot. Among the many books, seminars, and podcasts I try to consume, I read and listen at double speed, wanting to learn as much as I can in the shortest amount of time, which negatively affects the quality of my learning. So much to learn, so much to read, and so little time in life. Recognizing the difference between good and great and understanding that the gap between them is larger than it seems. Moving from 8 to 9 will surely require double the effort compared to moving from 7 to 8, and moving from 9 to 9 too will definitely require much more effort than moving from 8 to 9. Don't underestimate the price of being great. It's the reason why many people and businesses never achieve it.